Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of our weekly AMA. We've got a lot of interesting things to go over with you guys. We're going to start off with the core and strategic updates from Herman, our CEO. Then I'm going to give you guys a bit of an insight into what's going on from the business side and marketing, etc. And then we're going to speak to Diego about our native launchpad seedling. And finally, we'll go to Marv. Penultimately, we'll go to Marv, and then at the end, there will be the quiz, as always. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Herman, and he'll fill us in on what's going on.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I don't have much to share. As announced last week, we were in the last few stages of deployment of the EVM parachain onto our testnet network. That took certainly more time than expected. We had to restart and change a few things, tinker a few times for mostly circumstantial and deployment-based issues, and nothing that would compromise the successful execution of code once deployed. I believe the chain was started and officially began producing parachain blocks on Friday, and right now it is. I can't exactly tell you what height that state has reached, but you will soon be able to check that yourself, as well as interact with the parachain by the very same blockchain interface we've been using for our mainnet and testnet. As promised, more documentation will follow, namely about how to connect to the EVM parachain, not just by substrate means or trade out place, but also on the tools used to interact with Ethereum. So far, I think it's pretty positive. The one issue outstanding, not really an issue, but a missing feature, let's call it that, is the account matching or account reconciliation, account consistency between substrate format and Ethereum format. A guide, given the absence of this feature, will illustrate how you can go about matching your substrate balance, your substrate based addresses, wallets, etc., as you interact with the trade chain, with trade.place, with Polkadot.js, the extension or the app, and the tools used for Ethereum. So Ethereum wallets such as MetaMask, or plugins and frameworks such as Web3.js, .py, etc., or others. I also mentioned that in addition to documentation, the release will also be accompanied by a bug bounty. More information about that will follow. The bug bounty will really assist us to measure the parachain, the code, by various metrics. It's necessary to go over them now, but prepare in general the parachain for mainnet deployment. Now, mainnet deployment, mainnet release will occur at some point, likely within 1 or 2 months, and that entirely depends on anything that's found on testnet. We reserve the opportunity to take to learn as much as possible from this testnet phase. EVM compatibility is something quite new and complex that should be approached as such. Therefore, we will welcome your help to assist us to finding any issues, uncovering bugs, but also perfecting some features. And we will certainly be following it on our own and as a team, and supplementing the already extensive testing and development that we've carried out over the past several months over this stage as well. Optimistically, within 2 months, we will have a EVM compatibility parachain on mainnet. And for those asking, a few weeks after that, we will also open the route back on the Cherry Network bridge. That's the timeline in the short run. I don't really have any additional comments about medium run, long run, other than just to remind everybody of what our core principles are all about. There are others that excel in vaporwave promises that are often either failed or devices to get to further promises and further commitments that ultimately may pan out if the scheme works and they get sufficient funding and the team is incentivized sufficiently to make all those promises come true, but more often than not end with a catastrophe. We try not to do that at all. We aim for consistent and methodical growth following purely engineering principles, principles of slow and steady growth over hype and overpromising things that we may or may not have any intention of delivering after all, like others have. This strategy may not be the most optimal one. Certainly, our approach, our execution of this strategy may also not be the best. And while I believe that this strategy is the best, I don't necessarily. I agree with most more thoughtful critics we've received by chat and etc. That our execution, that though the strategy is agreeable and more often not better than alternatives, our execution of it is perhaps lacking or can be improved. We are constantly seeking to improve that, and just as we put time and effort to methodically analyze new features and how to improve our development practices as well as our code, likewise, we try to adopt the same philosophy to improve our business execution of strategy too. That's all I have to say. If there's any question, I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I wish everybody a happy Easter. For those who celebrated, that was 2 weeks ago. Happy Orthodox Easter, that was last weekend. Songkran is celebrated in Thailand. We do have a bunch of Thai community members. I've recently visited the country. Incidentally, for business pertaining to Cherry, we have a lot of potential there. Otherwise, goodbye.
Thanks, Herman. That's great to hear. I think one of the more interesting questions that I received was in light of our EVM compatibility upgrade of sorts, you might call it, and the upgrade, the Shanghai Ethereum upgrade. Someone was asking me what these various platforms or projects to which we have varying degrees of involvement or interaction, such as Polkadot, such as Ethereum. When they make big upgrades in the future, is this something that the devs have to contend with? Do we, if for example Polkadot or Substrate made significant changes to their way of execution, does this add much to the workload of our developers, and is this something that we have to contend with in the future?
That is an excellent question. I'll say we have given thought on that. It has been a few months, so I'll perhaps be a bit more roundabout than necessary to answer this. Now, while general principle, while choices, while features may be added, I think that's the more common upgrade process, adding features. While perhaps architectures may change, for sure, this happened to Polkadot in the first few years, not as much as on Ethereum. Or certain logic changes can be applied, like following one fork over another, reissuing blocks, stuff of the sort. So state changes or logic changes. The base principles, as far as blockchain development is concerned, can't really vary so much, simply because the previous blocks that were developed, were produced according to a given logic, must be congruent with the new blocks, and therefore any new blocks, any new states produced by new logic, new features, certain architecture choices introduced afterwards must also be compatible with, that's the more broad term, but also more stringently follow the previous state. And so while we have indeed taken a snapshot of Ethereum in our compatibility, we are compatible with Polkadot, of course, in a more native way, since we share the same development framework called Substrate. We will have to certainly follow their development, not so much when it comes to past or revising any past transactions, since that's really not how blockchain development happens. You can only upgrade new things and not so much the past, revise the past, and even those new things need to be compliant with some regard to the path, and therefore the divergence between any compatibility between what's past and the future is controlled and controllable, certainly. But yes, by being compatible, we do take on further responsibility in regards to maintaining this feature. Now, as long as we care about the feature of compatibility with Polkadot, Ethereum, the largest general purpose networks, then it makes sense. I think as an investment choice, as an engineering practice, we've chosen to focus on this cherry core, namely distributed data storage that is trustless, that is private to many extents, to many degrees, and with all the various characteristics and caveats that we already covered ad nauseum on these AMAs. And to supplement this, we've elected completely arbitrarily to also develop and maintain these interoperability features, interoperability channels to offer this core product to blockchain developers, perhaps not too much interested in learning the whole cherry stack and deploying on this much more limited network than, for example, Ethereum. We don't necessarily want to compete with Ethereum, certainly not in the short or medium run. And therefore, it does simply make sense, both on an engineering standpoint and Ethereum standpoint, to take on this challenge. And yes, it will require active maintenance in response to changes in protocol and architecture of these other chains to which we're compatible, though, again, limited by what I mentioned earlier. But so long it makes sense, so long as that there's a demand, and so long as we see it fit, we can certainly adjust not only our goals, or the efforts that our team exerts to maintain these features, but also adjust the level of compatibility, or less so, level of interoperability, in cases where, for example, compatibility is compromised since the change has been breaking. So that hopefully gives a comprehensive answer, of course, in non-technical terms. If you do want a technical answer, I can certainly try and provide it, but that's as clear as I can answer that question about the compatibility with change as they upgrade, as well as the driving force, the logic, both engineering and business, that drives us to do that.
Thanks, Herman. That's a pretty thorough answer, and quite interesting as well, for all of us, because regardless of Cherry, these are kind of questions that different projects have to take stock of, given the fact that Web3 is becoming more and more mature, which entails a greater degree of business integration and technical integration, even between the larger projects out there. So it's quite interesting. I didn't see any other questions of note in the past couple of days, at least not to my awareness. So I'll proceed now with my update on things on the non-technical side. I'll begin with, I'm just going to pull up my slides here. 1 second. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So following on from Herman's discussion, the things are moving steadily in terms of the EVM to testnet upgrade. That's very promising. And from the other aspects, from the perspective of the other aspects of the project, we are now looking to ramp these things up. There'll be more management ability to coordinate these things in the near future, given that the EVM is being finalized. And furthermore, this is in some ways the thing that we've been waiting for, so that we can kind of push out other initiatives and other aspects of our growth. So in some ways, this is the calm before the storm, so to speak. And we've been working on other aspects, ready to go for the next phase of our growth. As I spoke about last week, in-person events, not events that we're hosting, but events that we attend on a formal and informal basis, on a large scale and on a smaller scale, are quite important to where we're going at the moment. It gives us an opportunity to speak to people who are very relevant to what we hope will be our growth, i.e. developers and also partners. I use the term partner very, very loosely, because these are people that we could engage with in a very transactional way, i.e. a marketing partner. It could be a partner in terms of someone that we wish to integrate our business offering with to a certain degree, and so on and so on. But these events give us an opportunity to firstly get some feedback from people who are in the know as to how we go to market and what we're building. And also, of course, it gives us an opportunity to try and sign people up to close deals, etc. This has been going quite well. I've spoken about this last week, and there's been a few of these things that we've attended so far. And there's another 3 this week that we're looking at in various countries. They're slightly more low key in that we don't publicize our attendance at them too much, because that's not a very, very good idea. In that it's better to be somewhat discreet when you're engaging in these business discussions. One will be tomorrow in Spain. I've been attending some in the UK and Ireland over the past couple of weeks, and it's been very positive. And we've been encouraged to see again the demand and the interest that people have shown, the real professional core of the Web3 movement, and their interest in what we're trying to build in terms of decentralized storage, in terms of how to link that to smart contracts, etc. So that's quite encouraging. And we'll be continuing to work on that in the near future. We'll probably ramp it up actually and start to attend more in the near future as well. And given the fact that it's good for, community energy, we'll start to publicize more details of these meetings from now on as well. That's the offline space. In terms of online activity, as you've probably seen, we've been attending and taking part as guest speakers in several Twitter spaces. We are expanding that at the moment. And Marvin from Cherish, one of our ecosystem projects, attended one yesterday and spoke quite well. On Friday, I'll be speaking in another Twitter space at, I believe, 2 p.m. UTC, which is 3 p.m. in Western European time. That should be interesting. It should be fun as well. Also, next week, we're going to try and do one ourselves where we invite some people in the know just to have a chat about something. It is up in the air as to what we speak about. I would ask any of the more curious community members who have any recommendation of what we could speak about, and indeed who we could speak to. Anybody friendly that you know of or have any contact with, or maybe even if that you don't, but they seem friendly, then let us know, and we might reach out to them and say, hey, do you want to come along for a chat that we can have publicly so that, we can just share our ideas. That'll happen next week. And there'll be another couple of Twitter spaces that other people host that will join in next week as well. Because this is a good way for us to communicate to people in a more complex way exactly what the project is about. This will, of course, accompany the things that Herman has mentioned in terms of bug bounties. We are also going to discuss some of the details about how the hackathons that we'll be running over the next few months will work. That's quite exciting. We're going to try and make them as accessible as possible. And yeah, it's something that I think the community will enjoy. We have a lot of smart developers in our community and business people. It might be really cool to link these people up and get them building with Cherry technology in a kind of low pressure context, and see if anything cool comes out the other end. That'll be quite fun. The details of all of these will be discussed next week. Moving on to marketing, I'm going to talk to you guys next week, possibly at the AMA, about some of the things we'll be speaking about in our marketing content rollout, so to speak. I'll talk to you about that next week. Also, we've been working on some of the things that you guys helped me with in terms of Cherry privacy and what that's about. We'll talk about that again in the next few days. It's been somewhat delayed given the focus on the EVM testnet rollout. And also, kind of as always, we are in calls and meetings with other partners, using the term loosely, marketing contacts as well, to kind of reinvigorate our marketing push in the wake of the fantastic work that the developers have done for the EVM compatibility on testnet. So expect that in the next few days as well. More details to be disclosed. If you have any questions, you can always write to me personally in DM. or you can just post your question in the chat. We always try and get to them between myself, Herman, or Boer. Then we always try and answer these questions within a reasonable time frame in as much detail as we possibly can. So that's everything from the core project side in terms of the development work that Herman discussed and more of the peripheral business issues that I just went over. Things are looking quite good. There's been no upsets or disasters in the EVM testnet rollout. As Herman said, they're just kind of crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And then in the very near future, it will be, we'll start to publicize that more. But for all intents and purposes, EVM is out on testnet, and it has been for a few days. As soon as this is reflected in our Explorer, we will let you guys know, and then we can kind of announce it to the world. And we're quite excited for doing that. But thankfully, the hard work has been done by the developers, and we're very appreciative of that, because these things are what keep the project going. And this is the lifeblood of the project. And I'm glad to see that there hasn't been any disasters or any missteps in what is a very, very technically and intellectually challenging endeavor to merge these features of these various cutting-edge Web3 technology offerings and combine them and make them usable to the end user. That's an awful lot of work, and I think that it's good to recognize and congratulate the dev team and the founders on their hard work in that regard. Next in the AMA, we're going to move on to Diego. I have a call coming up, so I'm not sure how long I can stick around for this, so I might hand it over to Diego, John, and Marvin to finish up the AMA. Everyone has been, apart from a couple of people that I've spoken to, who I actually spoke to this afternoon, who are still waiting for prizes, everybody has been done with prizes so far. There is a couple of people that still need to be followed up with for the Christmas prize. I know it's been a long time later, but we're going to get to that in the next few days as well. There was just a bit of waiting around in terms of people actually claiming their prizes, which we couldn't really help. But that's going to be wrapped up soon. But yeah, as I said, I'm going to hand you guys over to Diego and Marv for the seedling and cherish components of the AMA. And then finally, John is going to handle the quiz, the weekly quiz as well. And I'll find out the results, and I'll announce the results later, actually, probably later this afternoon. Thank you all for joining. We're delighted to be able to share the continued progress of the project with you. As always, let us know if you've got any feedback, if you've got any questions, etc. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for involvement of the community over the next few weeks, now that we're kind of pushing through the next frontier of the scale up of Cherry's developer and business offerings. So that will be quite exciting. So as always, keep in touch, and I'll be speaking to you guys over the next couple of days, I'm sure. And I will also, of course, be announcing probably tomorrow the details of the space that will happen on Friday. I'm almost certain that it's at 2 p.m. UTC, which is 3 p.m. Western European time. So join us for that. I'll be taking part in it myself personally, and it should be fun. Okay, guys, I'll hand you over to Diego. Diego, are you there at the moment?
Yes. Hello, guys. Yes, no problem. We will take over and hopefully make justice for the rest of the AMA. So yeah, I'm delighted to be speaking with you guys today about our latest updates and plans for the future in Seedling. So first and foremost, I wanted to address the highly anticipated up-ramp in projects. This week has been a bit different, as we have cleaned up many of the projects in the pipeline due to not reaching agreements, mostly in, let's say, security terms, in the SAFT or agreement contract, let's call it that way. So while we have plenty of exciting projects in the pipeline right now, we understand the importance of launching them securely and with proper due diligence. We have learned that this is an essential to ensure the safety and success of our platform and its users. I know you all want projects, but rest assured we are taking every necessary step to conduct through analysis of each project and its team to ensure its safety and potential for growth. Because as I said, the push and increase in volume of projects and offerings in seedling options cannot come at the cost of security or a lack of due diligence, because that is when the problems appear. And then moving on, I want to also like to take this opportunity to remind you guys, and also as Owen mentioned, that it is event season, and we're looking and reviewing various events in our respective cities of all sizes, particularly those with, personally myself, with pitch days. I know both France and Spain, the two countries I'm in the most, have plenty of events for Web3 builders and project leaders. So definitely looking forward to this and meeting more people and expanding our network. We believe that participating in these events will provide us with an opportunity to kind of showcase our platform, connect with new users, and continue building our community. Tomorrow, I will most probably attend an event in Madrid, as I said, as Owen mentioned, about VR, AR. There's a bit of metaverse too. And I'm also considering making use of our good relationship with Avalanche, actually, to maybe attend their event in Barcelona, the Avalanche Summit, which is a huge event that lasts for 2-3 days. For those of you that don't remember, we attended the Web Summit some months back, and there were actually, we got to meet a lot of people. We did a lot of network, loads of deal flows, and we even, for example, met the guys at XP Market, which we ended up fundraising with. So with the best possible actual conditions. So it definitely makes sense to make use of this, even in local small events. It's really worth it. And then moving over, I wanted to update you on our negotiation with the chains. As you may know, we have been in talks with several chains. And while some have been more welcoming than others, we are making progress. One chain in particular has expressed certain reluctancy due to our current momentum. However, they do appreciate our very unique approach to sustainability and token economics and our successful track record of launching projects. Fortunately, this chain will be reevaluating our proposal in a few months, which gives us some time to grow our platform and increase our momentum as the market continues to pick up. We believe that with our continued success, the help of Cherry EVM, bringing new projects on board, we can show them the value of our platform and the positive impact we can make on their ecosystem. And additionally, we are in negotiation with 2 upcoming chains who are currently in, I'd say, stealth mode. While we cannot disclose too many details at this time, we believe that these chains both have great potential, and we are excited about the prospects of working with them. And that was all. Thank you guys for the continued support, and we will keep you updated on any further developments. And as always, we value your feedback and suggestions. We want to hear from you about how we can continue to improve our platform, features, services. So yeah, thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to growing together. I'll leave you with Marvin.
Thank you, Diego. On to Cherish. A lot's been happening for Cherish behind the scene. We've been testing with creators, problem solving, scouting up bugs and destroying them neatly, making sure that they're all cleaned up. We've been making a lot of progress with the creators we've been working with right now, but this effort is a continued effort. So we'll keep pushing forward as much as we can with that to make sure we have a clean and polished platform when the time is there for a bigger release. I do have to say, before this round ends, after this round ends, we'll do a user-sided testing, so we make sure that the users also don't find any bugs. We have to iterate this multiple times, because whenever we solve an issue from the creator side, we have to look at the user side, and that might affect how the creator side works as well. So we iterate this a couple of times and make sure that everything is in place and nothing goes wrong as soon as we launch it up to the bigger public. Then, as Owen mentioned, I was talking in a Gotbit Twitter space with some big names in the NFT and decentralized media space. It was a really interesting talk. Some clashing opinions, which was really nice because that grew to interesting conversation and interesting ideas being brought up. So I was really excited to do that, and I think everybody learned a lot, everybody involved. So that was an amazing experience, making some new connections along the way as well. Then if you've kept your eye on the Cherish chat, you might have seen that Cherish update number 10 has just released, talking about what the effects of aggressive algorithms are and the data that comes with it. Definitely worth reading, as it's very interesting, and it really if you're on any type of social media with algorithms, which is pretty much all of them, this pertains to your situation as well. In the meantime, passively, while working towards the bigger release, we've been continuing our onboarding efforts, making sure that creators are in the know of Cherish and what we're trying to achieve here, and looking at possible partnerships with them going forward. I think that's about all that's going on with Cherish right now, or that I have to share. There's a lot going on for sure. That's all I have to share for now. So with that being said, I think I'll leave you to John and the quiz. I wish you all a very good day. It's a sunny day here. I hope it is there wherever you are too. And good luck with the weekly quiz. Have a great day, guys.